Hi, everybody, and welcome to our video, Reminders and Recommendations for UTeach CSP Unit 3. Unit 3 is always an important part of our course because I always consider it like the second half of Scratch. Unit 2, you start introducing your students into Scratch, but it's in Unit 3 where your students are going to really develop the skills in Scratch that they're going to need to be able to get a really good score on that Create Performance task down the road on the AP exam. So in this video, I'm going to first just touch on Unit 3 vocabulary. Then I'm going to discuss the Unintendo controller project, the binary birthday cake assignment, the sorting a list assignment, and then just some alternate pacing if you seem to be moving a little bit slower than you anticipated and you want to make up some speed, make up some time, I should say, by increasing the speed of the course. Maybe you want to do a little bit more asynchronous/synchronous work with your students. And I'm going to review that with you on how to do it with Unit 3. Okay, so like I said, I want to start off by talking about the Unit 3 vocabulary, okay? Because a lot of people get a little confused on how do I assign the vocabulary and then when do I actually test the kids on the vocabulary? Now, you'll see here in our Unit 3 module that the Unit 3 vocabulary assignment 3.0, that is what you're going to give your students at the beginning of the unit, just so your students can start to get familiar with it. You're going to actually test them when you're doing the Unit 3 review. So you'll see in assignment 3.0, your students are just going to start using this assignment to fill out the vocabulary words. Now, this is up to you, how you, the teacher, want to do it. Some teachers like to have them constantly come back to this as they learn the vocabulary words and then do the definition. Some teachers like to have them fill out this entire thing at first before they start the unit so that they have a foundation of words to look at during the unit. But however you want to do it, this is not the assignment you're going to grade. 3.0 is for the student to work on. Now, in assignment 3.13, the Unit 3 review, this is where your students are going to be tested on the vocabulary, okay? And that's why we put it in the review. Some teachers want to test them but not count it as a grade. Other teachers want to count it as a grade. So that is where you'll find the vocabulary that you're going to use for the grade in assignment 3.13. All right, so that's what I just wanted to touch on as far as vocabulary is concerned. Now, Unit 3 has an assignment, the Unintendo controller project. And if you go to our YouTube page, I have walkthrough videos to help you, the teacher, facilitate that to your students. What I just want to talk about now is how you should use this project in your class. Now, you don't have to assign the Unintendo controller project to all your students to do for this unit. All right, I'll tell you, it is much more important that your students learn how to sort a list than it is for them to be able to do the Unintendo controller project. So my recommendation is to not give the Unintendo controller project. Do not assign it to your students at the beginning of Unit 3. Hold off until the end. Now, we're going to talk about the sorting a list assignment, but that might take some of your students multiple class days to finish. Other students might be able to do it in one class. And that's when I recommend using the Unintendo controller project. I recommend maybe just giving it to the 7 or 8 students who finished the sorting a list assignment really quickly, and you need something to give them to work on for 2 days. So that would be my recommendation on how to use the Unintendo controller project in a way that's different than just assigning it to the whole class. Now, you know your students. For some of you, it's not a big deal. You're just going to assign it like normal, the Unintendo controller project. All your students really are really having a strong grasp of Scratch. All right, but I just want to let you know that there are other ways to use this unit project. It doesn't just have to be assigned and done over 5 class days. All right, so that is what I wanted to talk about with our unit project. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is the binary birthday cake assignment. And very similar to the Unintendo controller project, I have a walkthrough video for binary birthday cake on the YouTube channel as well. But what I want you to look at is this binary birthday cake. It is a great assignment to make sure that the students understand a couple of things, okay? By understanding binary birthday cake, they're going to show that they're starting to understand lists they're understanding procedures, but more importantly, binary conversions is going to be covered on the AP exam. They're going to need to know how to convert from decimal to binary and back again. They will not need to know how to convert to hexadecimal. But that's why these assignments are important. Now, the binary birthday cake, you might have to lead them through that. I talk about that in my walkthrough video on the YouTube page. But make sure your students do it, because that's going to be the foundation that'll give them the skills necessary to do the Unintendo controller project, whether you're going to do the Unintendo controller project during the entire unit or just after assignment 3.12, sorting a list. Now, if you need to cut some stuff from unit 3 because you really just want to focus on Scratch and keep them focused on just doing Scratch and not distract them with other topics, it is okay if you want to take assignments 3.5, 3.6, 3.7, and 3.8. These 4 assignments, and do them later in the year. They are basically just going to be tested during the multiple choice portion of the AP exam. So it's okay if you take these 4 assignments and come back and do them later on when you're reviewing for the AP exam. All right. I actually like it better when we go right from binary birthday cake into assignments 3.9, 3.10, 11, and 12. All right. So that's just a little suggestion if you want to just try to get the create performance task done after unit 3, a way to make unit 3 a little bit faster pacing. All right, now, the next thing that's going to be really important for your students is they need to understand the concept of lists. That's why I said when I started this video that the Unintendo controller project is fun, but it's not necessary. What's more important is that your students do a really good job on 3.9, 3.10, 3.11, and 3.12. And especially 3.12, this sorting a list assignment is going to be important in more ways than one. All right. It's going to be important because the algorithms that they're going to learn how to make in this assignment are the same type of algorithms that can be used as procedures on the AP Create Performance task. And what I mean by that is it's really easy to just, instead of using when the green flag is clicked, to make a block, okay, and then use that block, all right, in your project. So now you can actually use this algorithm, attach it to a procedure, and then use this procedure in your program, in your create performance test. The reason why I'm telling you these are great algorithms is because they contain sequence selection and iteration. And your procedure on the create performance test has to contain those 3 things: sequence selection and iteration. And it's this assignment, all right, sorting a list, that's going to teach your students how to do this. And yes, you can then come back to these algorithms and have your students recreate them and maybe just switch them up a little bit and use them in their create performance tasks. Now, notice the algorithm. You have a repeat, okay? And that repeat is important because that's your iteration. You have your if statement, that's your selection. And by definition, if you have those 2 things, then College Board will automatically say you have sequence as well. So that's why this assignment is really important. You need to give your students as much time as they need to make sure they understand the concept in sorting a list. And while it's taking some of those students 2 or 3 or even 4 class days to do this one assignment, that's when the other students can be doing the Unintendo controller project. All right, so that is basically what I wanted to talk about as far as the actual assignments in this unit. Now, what I want to touch on is just, I know for some teachers out there that we are still going through a period where some of you are doing remote instruction, some of you are doing in-person instruction, and some of you are doing both. And we also never know when remote instruction might pop up. So if you need to facilitate Unit 3 in a hybrid way, all right, where you're using remote instruction and in-person instruction, what I would recommend doing first and foremost is instituting an instructional strategy that I talked about in PD, the independent share and care strategy. It's a way where students can work in pairs, but also can work independently. And what I mean by that is each student will have a debugging buddy that they work with, and that debugging buddy they can work with in person or remotely. But when you assign these coding skills assignments or any of these scratch assignments in Unit 3, you want the student to first work independently. Then talk to their debugging buddy, collaborate with their classmates, and see if they can come up with a solution to any challenges they may be facing. And then last, come to you, the teacher, because you can then meet with them either remotely during office hours or in person in school in class. All right, so that's the strategy I want you to institute if you need to be a little more flexible or hybrid in the way you're teaching Unit 3 and the way you might have to be teaching your class in the next couple of months. Now, further adaptations you can do for instructions. Now, for Unit 3, I already told you, you can save the Unintendo controller project till after sorting a list. All right, we talked about this. Now, specifically, in the binary encoding of information, all right, and I told you about this. You can skip this assignment, if not this one, but you can skip the further ones. But for this one specifically, you can assign the 20 questions game, the dichotomies, the state space, the high-low guessing. That can all be done asynchronously. All right, students can do that at home on their own. Now, you can check for understandings of the previous day materials and then facilitate the binary to decimal and the base conversions in person or synchronously when you have them remotely. You really need to make sure they understand how to do binary to decimal and base conversions. All right, but then you can have them do the worksheets for homework. All right, we already talked about binary birthday cake as well. All right, have them read about binary birthday cake on their own. So that way, when they're in class or on a Zoom with you, you can actually do the starter code and walk them through it as much as you want to. And remember, for the binary birthday cake, our starter code is just what we recommend. You can give them so much more. You can actually map out all the candles for them and then just have them have to do the part where they're using the join block to join together the binary code. And then to make sure that the last block is setting the decimal age back to their original answer, because their answer is going to keep reducing itself down to 0. So even if it says 0 for their decimal age at the end of the project, it means they did it right, okay? And then, of course, like I talked about, you can take those encoding standard assignments, you can do them later. You can have students basically do most of that asynchronously, all right? And if you're going to take out the Unit 3 project and those 5 work days, well, that's good, because that's more time your students can be doing their working on that sorting a list assignment. All right, so these are my recommendations that I have for you for Unit 3. I hope you find them helpful. As always, make sure you check out our YouTube channel for all our latest videos. Thank you.